Emotions. That is the most important thing that writers want us to feel. A nice sweet wholesome moment between two characters can make you smile, while a scene where the protagonist is about to lose all hope but remembers the people they care about are relying on them can make you feel fired up or inspired. Now, when it comes to crying, that's where things get interesting, because the emotion can be universal. A sad scene will obviously make you more likely to cry, but it can also come from joy or nostalgia. And if you want to get technical, one scene could be so funny to where you tear up. Don't get me wrong, it's not like any type of moment will make someone cry, but whenever that emotion is expressed, it shows how immersed you are in the story. It shows how much they care about the characters. That's why when someone tells me they cried while watching an anime, it's so interesting to me because it shows how much that series meant to them. But it's also interesting because I've never actually cried while watching an anime, or any sort of movie or TV show, at least that I can remember of, and it's always made me wonder why. I could watch a heartbreaking death with a straight face while someone else is bawling. It used to make me wonder if I really cared for the characters as much as I thought I did. Yeah, I would feel sad watching the scenes, but it wasn't enough to make me cry. But that's been starting to change. Let me explain. I could never understand why, but after the past few years, I found the answer. One simple reason is that I'm not that emotional. I've never really been someone to cry much. I never liked crying anyway. I didn't like people seeing me in that state. But I think the biggest reason people are brought to tears is relatability. Some may connect to the scenes more than others. For example, if you've lost someone close to you in your life, watching the death of a character that was close to the main character can remind you of the struggles you've had to face in your own life when experiencing a loss. It can make you imagine yourself in the character's shoes because you've been there before. And for me, I honestly didn't have that many experiences I could relate to for most of my life. You could also make the argument that since I'm on the younger side, I haven't had that many life experiences yet, but I don't think that's all there is to it. The emotional investment of the characters plays a big role, and if you combine that with the relatability, it makes the emotional scenes hit way harder. Take the anime Higahiro for example. I watched this way back when I was 14, and it was the first time an anime almost brought me to tears. The scene I want to talk about specifically occurs near the end of the story. By this point in the anime, the two main characters Yoshida and Sayu have grown a lot closer throughout the episodes. But when Sayu finally arrives back to her home with her parents with Yoshida, her mom treats her like utter crap, stating she accomplished nothing running away from home. But she did it because of how badly her mom treated her, and it's very obvious her mom doesn't care for her at all. But when she met Yoshida, he was different. He treated her like actual family even though he was a stranger at first. The argument escalates and it got to the point where her mom stated she wished Sayu wasn't born, and that caused Sayu to cry, and this made Yoshida's blood boil. He steps outside with Sayu to cool down after the heated argument, and it was at that moment when Yoshida started to cry, because hearing her own mother wish Sayu was never born made him realize how awful she really was. Seeing that scene made me almost on the verge of tears, because I completely understand how Yoshida felt in that moment. Watching that argument scene made me just want to yell at Sayu's mom, because I hated how little she cared for her own daughter. And I think because of that relatability to understand, it made me get almost emotional. After seeing Yoshida and Sayu's relationship deepen after all these episodes as she learns what it's like to have someone actually care for her is wholesome, which made the scene really hit hard for me to the point where I was close to crying. It was a strange feeling, watching something on a screen getting me to that state of feeling. I feel like after I watched that anime was when I started to really understand how a film can bring someone to tears, because of simply relating to the characters. It was something that I couldn't grasp until these recent years of my life. Especially during high school was when I realized it. It was the first time I started making actual friends with people, so the thought of losing them hurt, and when those experiences happened, it sucked really bad. But it's because of those life experiences that have made me relate to characters more that have, for example, lost someone they cared about. I think because of all that, it's made me become more emotional in a way when watching anime. But you don't always exactly have to relate to the character to make the scenes hit harder. Simply being invested in the character's journey can cause it too. A great example is in Re:Zero Season 2 when Subaru tells Echidna he can return by death. Throughout the whole show, he couldn't tell anyone, not a single soul. So when he was finally able to tell her, he broke down. Because ever since he was isekai'd, he kept it to himself. No one knew how much pain and agony he was facing all this time. It's different being a watcher because we're watching Subaru's story and we see his thoughts, so it's almost like we are with him. But for him, he had nobody he could talk to about his power. He was truly alone, and that can take a toll on you mentally. So seeing Subaru cry and being able to finally let it out almost brought me to tears, because we've seen his journey up until this point, and we've seen all the stuff he's been through. So it makes it a great feeling as a viewer to see Subaru finally tell someone about his ability. The voice acting was absolutely phenomenal too. Higahiro and ReZero are both examples of anime that has made me almost emotional watching, and they're both great examples of the different ways they're executed. But there is one anime that has truly made me understand how an anime can make someone cry, and it's what made me come up with this video idea in the first place. And that anime is Oshi. If you haven't seen the anime, there will be big spoilers for seasons 1 and 2, so you have been warned. Before the anime aired, I read the first volume of the manga, which covered the prologue when Aqua and Ruby were kids. I remember Ai's death being more shocking than sad really, but when the anime finally aired and when I watched that first episode, it hit way harder. It was weird because I knew it was going to happen, but I think because of the amazing voice acting and the visuals, it felt more real. It felt as if I was really watching someone die. And I liked Ai a lot as a character, so her final moments were really sad. But that isn't even the saddest scene for me personally. For me, the scene that really resonated with me as a person was in season 2 during the play arc, when Aqua imagines Ai coming back to life as a way to act more emotionally when Akane's character Princess Saya comes back to life. The scene really touched my heartstrings because I related deeply to Aqua in that moment. I'm someone that gets in my thoughts a lot, and I like to think about what if scenarios that could have occurred in the past even though they will never happen, almost like what Aqua had done. He thought about that miracle, that possibility if somehow he was able to save Ai. Even though it was still impossible, he still thought about it constantly. I may not relate to losing someone so dear like Aqua, but I can understand thinking about that fantasy-like dream, wishing for it to come true, because I've done it. I've had times where I wish I could have made things right and end up blaming myself for it even though it wasn't exactly in my control. That's why I related so hard to Aqua in that moment. And I think if Oshi season 2 came out when I was younger than when I watched it, I really think that scene wouldn't have hit as hard. That was when I realized my life experiences can influence the way I feel when watching animes like that. Recently my younger brother watched Oshi and he finished both seasons in almost the span of a week. He enjoyed it a lot, but what I found interesting was how different his reaction was to Ai's death rather than mine. His reaction was a lot similar to how I was when I read the manga, more shocking than sad. Since he's quite younger than me, it made me wonder how he would have reacted if he watched it if he was maybe a little older, to really understand how hard it hits. As I'm approaching adulthood, I've been learning a lot about the world and understanding the people in it. With that, I feel like I can understand a lot of these characters' emotions, because I've learned a lot and have experienced some heartfelt moments. Even though I've never actually cried while watching anime, that doesn't mean the scenes don't resonate with me. I had friends recommend me animes with sad endings that I thought would finally get me, but that moment never came, because at the end of the day, crying isn't an emotion, it's a response to something. We are all different and react differently to different things, so I don't beat myself up for it if something doesn't make me cry, because some scenes still hit hard for me. At the end of the day, relatability and character investment are two of the biggest reasons that can bring someone to tears. You might disagree or say there's a lot more variables to it, and you'd probably be right, but for me at least, it all comes down to how much I care about them and how much of myself I see in them. Thank you for watching. If you've made it till the end, thank you for watching the whole way through. This video was way more introspective than my other ones. I kinda made this to collect my thoughts together. Let me know what you think. And if you have any perspectives or disagreements, let me know in the comments. I read every comment and reply to some too. But anyways, keep watching anime, subscribe if you want to see more, and Adachi out.